Welcome everyone to another episode of the Warmup. I am here with the guys. It is me, man, Chris Mercury in the building. We got Reg, Deuce, and we have Kev RL. Say what's up to everyone who is tuned in on this week, guys.
What's going on, everybody?
You good, man? Say that again. Say it one more time.
I said, what's going on, everybody? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You had your hand in front of the microphone. So.
No, I was also loud ass motorcycle passing by. I blocked it out.
All right, yeah. Please move it closer, man. I don't know what all of a sudden you did. So cool, yeah. So this is your first time listening to us. This is a place where we talk about sports, current events, and things in between through the lens of Black culture, man. We're here every Wednesday to drop you with a new episode on YouTube, but you can also check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any place you get your podcast from, Google Podcasts, Anchor, things of that nature, man. Check us out at the Warmup Podcast on the audio side, and then on the video side if you're with us, or if you're not with us, check us out at Grindhouse Network. So we're also on the social media side of things, Twitter, IG, Reddit, Grindhouse NTWK. Feel free to go ahead and follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell, or however that stuff works on that end. And, you get some of the latest news or some of the latest thoughts that's coming from the collective mind. And finally, we do have a homegrown situation community on Discord. You can come through Grindhouse Network. We are searchable in the public domain, so feel free to stop by, add yourself, man, for some friendly banter, sports, and other off-topic news. So anything else you guys want to add? Cool. All right.
I think that's it.
Okay, look at we have a delayed response or something, man. All right. So let's get into it, because some people had some delayed performances this week. So we're gonna touch on this NFL side of things, man. QB performances. NFL Week 1 has kicked off, has come and gone, and we had some unsuspecting highlights, lowlights, and we had some breakouts and some mediocre performances, essentially. So a lot of the light is shed on some of these QBs, because guess what? That's the star of the game. And, some people didn't live up to the hype, at least for Week 1. So hopefully they'll figure it out, and then, they'll be regressed to what we know them to be. And other people will go back to where we know them to be. So let's just talk about it, man. First off, we can talk about the standout performances now. So, or at least first, give people the props and go through that notion. So, Deuce, man, who do you think had some really good standout performances? I know you had Matt Stafford, right? Top 5 quarterback.
Hey. Listen, that top 5 thing was it's not season over season. It was that specific season I was talking about, but I carry on. Standouts, man. Mr. Jackson. Miss Jackson. Woo. Hey, pay this man his money. Pay him his money. I think this season is going to be a standout season for him. You like that?
No, yeah, do it one more time. Do it one more time.
And that's how they feel. Like, when you seen that game, I did. My money hurts. That's how they feeling, man. That's what the governor was saying. Hey, he had a standout game, man. I think it's pretty phenomenal considering he's handling his own contract. So to be able to pivot from contract negotiations to focus on the game, go 17 for 30, 213 yards for 3 TDs, man. Phenomenal, man. Hats off to Mr. Jackson. Also, Josh Allen, he just carried over from the playoffs to Week 1. He missed a beat. And Patty Mahomes doing Patty Mahomes things out here, man. Those are like my standouts, man. Those 3, hats off to him, man.
Cool. Reg, you want to add to that notion?
Yeah, I gotta agree with all of those. I really like Lamar Jackson. He's been struggling the last few seasons, so it's good to see him back in stride contract season. Hopefully he gets his payday. Pat Mahomes had a great day. I didn't see Josh Allen, but looking at the stats now, him and Justin Herbert did good. Geno Smith did pretty good, for somebody who wasn't a starter to, get this opportunity, because Russ moved on he steered them the right course. It ended up being a tighter game probably than they wanted, but he did his thing. Miami, Tua might be coming through, man. So we'll see.
Are you a Miami fan now? Is that what you're trying to say?
Nah, man. I thought all these teams. Why you pull out Miami? Like I said, I'm a fan.
I don't know, man. You from Florida? You could convert. Be like, oh, we back. You know how Florida folks are. They be quiet until they start winning.
Back in the building.
So yeah, I'll say the same thing. But I'll actually focus on Josh Allen. I think he had the best performance considering the team he was going up against, the opposition, and the only quarterback to stiff arm anybody successfully in this season so far. So again, 4 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 358 yards. The dude, like, what do you want him to do? What more can he do? What more do you want from me? Who said that? I know you said T.O. T.O. man. Oh. What more do you want from me? So, but yeah, Josh Allen definitely carried the torch. I mean, Pat Mahomes did Pat Mahomes things, but he does it so much. It's just like, he only passed and got 5 touchdowns. Like, yeah, that's what Pat Mahomes does.
Isn't that a shame that greatness becomes like your norm, that we just like,
yeah.
And the Cardinals aren't a slouch. I understand the Rams are a returning champs, but the Cardinals aren't a slouch team either.
I understand. I definitely understand. It was just more so the fact, it's just like it's LeBron James effect. You're used to seeing him triple double, 30 points a game. It's just like now, like, oh, he's not. Is he number one? Like, bro, he's been number one for the past 10, 15 years, dude. So
Pat had a sorry game. He only scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he did the same thing. He had 5 touchdowns too. He didn't have a rushing touchdown. He didn't have a stiff arm. So I'm out here picking. I'm splitting hairs here, but it was a good performance. And also he's playing with the bum non-throwing hand as well. So, I give him props.
A new number 1 threat too for receiver.
Who was that?
No, he lost his go-to.
He lost Tyreek, but he still had Travis Kelce. He still has
deep threat.
Okay.
Kelsey's like that security blanket.
Yeah. He got a touchdown.
Hey, security always wins, baby.
Yeah. So, but again, it was a very good performance. They look like they just walked into week 1 ready to go, mid-season form, and can't wait to see more of it. Also shout out to Lamar Jackson as well. So, Kev, you want to add anything to it, or?
And I'm spectating right now. I'm off to a slow start.
It's okay. It's not week 6 yet. So
I know, right?
So yeah, on the other side of the coin, man, there's some players who we thought was going to actually do something. They actually did absolutely nothing, or was very short of what their par level should be. Future performances, below average performances. I know you got some, Reg. I'll let you go ahead and fire it off first, man.
So I'll say I went ahead and gave a shout out to Geno Smith, but him and Russell didn't play that much different. The outcome was a little bit different, but Russ kind of stood out. Not so much just like he was a bad play, but it just wasn't as good as we've seen from him, and also that baffling decision at the end of the game to hold the ball and then go for it. A very long field goal it threw me off. So that was a low point for me. Not necessarily all of his fault, but it stuck out. It's a whole package, right? Like you said, they are part of the game management. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers lost game 1. That was pretty disappointing. Couldn't really get anything going there.
Who was he? No disrespect to his receiving crew, but they're all like youngsters, man. Like, who was he throwing to? I feel like
there was a lot of drop passes, a lot of that going on too. So can't really put it all on him, but again, like I said, it's what stands out when you're watching, like what you're expecting from these guys. We were just talking about Pat Mahomes. Oh, we expected 5 touchdowns. So you see this, no matter what the circumstances, it's a little bit disappointing for a few of these names that we talked about. Dak Prescott, Cowboys, it ain't looking good this season. He was already having a poor performance, and then injury at the end of the game. We don't know when he's coming back. They're talking about doing surgery. That's another low point.
That can't
those
catch
are the ones
a break,
that stuck out. Yeah.
Maybe the flip side, he catches all the breaks. Good way.
He came back strong after that ankle. His ankle looked all kinds of crazy, but he was playing well on it. I don't know. Cowboys, it seems like they can't catch a break. To be honest, it's been a while.
Who's the backup QB for the Cowboys?
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush, baby.
So-
hey, my boy got his second start in 2 years, man. Shout out to Cooper Rush.
Yeah. Anyone MVP? Cooper for MVP?
Hey,
No.
Might surprise
who's
you.
gonna take it, baby?
No,
Who's gonna
no.
take
Might
it?
surprise you. It's happened before. Somebody came up, stepped into the shoes, and then before you know it, they taking over.
So you might be talking about Kurt
We
Warner.
not putting that expectation on him though.
Okay.
Another disappointment was Justin Fields. I mean, not Justin Fields. Trey Lance, 49ers. That was look. How
Circumstantial.
about the Bears, man?
Circumstantial.
I hear you.
Circumstantial.
Jimmy G.
Circumstantial.
Y'all will turn it around, but
Circumstantial.
that's a
Yeah.
disappointment.
That was
Right, they're gonna turn it over to Jimmy G.
the only team to come out the gates with water on the field. It's circumstantial. It happens. Still out the gates. It's okay.
It's football, man.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's no guarantees, but that's probably one that they had in their win column of expectations. So
Had to.
Every game is a win. Is a win column in the 49ers organization locker room. But it's okay. Outside looking in,
Again.
Oh, so the locker room doesn't mirror reality. Okay,
Well,
thanks
no,
for the
he-
inside knowledge, Chris.
Well, I'm just saying, everything on paper in the locker room is a W. No one goes out on the field like, oh yeah, if we get close to winning, we've succeeded. No,
no, but I'm saying I'm sure when you plan it out, you got your schedule for the year. There's certain teams that you're like, okay, this one might be a tough one for us.
Yeah.
There's other ones that we don't expect are going to be a challenge, and I think this one probably crept up in the L column when they didn't expect it. That's all I'm saying.
I beg to differ. I think everyone understands any given Sunday. So any given Sunday, you're gonna always anyone can take that trip or get hit in the mouth and not get back up. It happens.
Yo, you are literally the black Skip Bayless, bro. Because
I know,
you're
right?
talking
I
about
don't know
the
what to
Warriors.
say right now.
We like
I mean,
Skip talking about LeBron, but now
So you're a bad person,
we're
bro.
talking about KD, and you're acting like Skip talking about KD. Wow.
What did I
Yeah.
say? What did I say?
It's wild. He's
What did I
saying some
say?
wild stuff right now. He's saying some wild
I
stuff.
like
right
all
now.
the excuses you digging up.
Oh,
For the Niners, man.
Okay.
Reg is
What
asking
happened
like
to the
some
opponents, though? What happened to the
objective
opponents? Did the
questions,
wet
and you're
field?
giving subjective
Well,
answers.
it was home field. It was home field advantage. I mean, I can go into
Okay,
this.
so they could run in the rainy weather. That's good for them, but
Well, I
the
mean,
49ers couldn't.
well, again, we lost our number one running back, right? So
You said
You were talking about water. You were saying it was rainy.
I mean-
did both teams experience the same field, or did the 49ers have a separate field?
Yeah,
than-
they did.
than the-
They did. Number one.
Okay,
Number
okay.
two, they play in Chicago, so that makes a difference. Home field advantage makes a difference. Number three, yes, it was still in water, still wet, but again, when you're playing in those kind of conditions, you can't your ability to run a lot of passing plays just aren't as lucrative as playing on the ground. You don't want to throw the wet ball in the air. You don't want to have people breaking in and out of routes in the rain on top of water to freaking slip and hurt yourself or whatever. It's just you just can't do that. You got to play at a modified speed. A lot of people elect to go down on the ground. We lost our running back, so therefore we didn't have that. And on top of that, we have a freshly minted quarterback in their first start, official start of the season. And Chicago, they're known for their defense, so they just keyed in on one player at that point. So I mean, it happens.
And shout out to Eddie Jackson. And shout out to Eddie Jackson for still in that game, man. Because Niners are on the drive, man. Trey had it in the bag, and Eddie took the bag.
All right,
Could have been a game-winning drive. It would have been amazing. It would have been remarkable.
all right. Drop in the
To your
bucket.
point, Justin Fields ain't do much better.
Drop in the bucket.
Hey man, better luck next season. Moving on.
Hey, that bucket must be a thimble because that drop knocked it over.
Okay. All right.
That was it for me. That's what stood out for me. I didn't really get to watch too many games, but those are the ones that stood out.
Okay. Cool. Appreciate that. Deuce, you have anything you want to add to? I do have a list of Trey Lance discrepancies.
I'm not gonna touch on Trey Lance anymore, man. It's just his second year. You know, we'll see what he's made of. It's early. Dallas situation. All of y'all remember there was like a article story that came out. Dallas had let go of like the backup quarterbacks, right? And the only one on the list was Dak, and then it got Cooper. Now we're back to Cooper. Right? They were acting like Dak is Iron Man. You know, Dak, all his greatness, that comeback, that beautiful season, not an Iron Man, man. He's proven to be susceptible to injury. So his play wasn't that great. Cooper Rush is Cooper Rush. I think my boy's from Central Michigan or something, right? But who's gonna play? So Greg said Dak's gonna have to have surgery. A QB situation in Dallas is dire because they don't have anybody else.
I agree.
Who they gonna pick up? Dalton? Cam's out there.
Yeah, Cam's available.
Got the practice squad QB is a dude named Will Greer. He's a practice squad. That's number 3. Hey, Cap. Jerry Jones and Cap.
I mean, I'm sure he still has Tony Romo on the unofficial roster.
I would imagine he did Tony Romo before Cap. So.
Probably would, bro. He'll get Troy Aikman before.
Yeah, I was gonna say Troy Aikman probably before Cap.
Yeah.
Hey, what Bledsoe? So that's a whole nother thing by itself. Jameis Winston, man, he had a up and down game. So for 3 quarters, this dude could not get that pass for more than 60 yards. In the 4th quarter, he exploded, went 16-19 for 213 yards, man. Like a Jameis Winston type season in a game. So it's remarkable how he did that.
Career
in a game. This is the Jameis Winston experience in one game. So thank you for the summarized edition, Mr. Winston. We appreciate you. I think the biggest takeaway for me for like just drops or, you know, the bad side of being a QB is Mr. Burrow, man. We've seen him top in the Super Bowl, right? Amazing. The same issues persist in game 1. This dude was sacked 7 times, man. I said sacks. I don't even know how many times he was hit. I feel like when I was flipping through that game, every time, no matter, it could be a 10-minute gap, a 30-minute gap. When I come back, Burrow's doing this. Every time, man.
Whose fault was that? Was
Every
it
time,
his inability to move?
That was sad. Plus,
The O-line is horrible. The O-line is horrible.
Okay. You can't fix it in one draft.
You're not holding, you're not trying.
Good.
You say if you're not holding, you're not trying. Oh,
Hey, 7 times, you better start grabbing jerseys. I'm sorry.
You gotta protect him, man. He's gonna be like Carr's brother, man. I keep forgetting Carr's brother.
Oh, David Carr?
David Carr.
Yeah, the Carrs are horrible.
Well, David Carr led the league in sacks for like 3 years running. That nobody can hold up to that. That rounds it up. That rounds it out, man. Reg hit everybody else, but Burrow, Jameis Winston experience in one game.
Yeah. Well, he did miss someone, and I will emphasize what are the Raiders doing. Derek Carr. I mean, David Carr. They all look. Both the Carrs. They're both untrustworthy. In my book, they either been injured or they've been inconsistent, and it's just the Raiders. This is what the Raiders do. The Raiders, they make these ridiculous signings. Aside from Devontae Adams, quarterback, coaches, whatever. Like they
let go of Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack comes back and Molly Watson.
Yeah, like they didn't want to sign Khalil Mack. They wanted to then to give $100 million to John Gruden, only to let him go off of some conspiracy. They had those emails for a while. They're just waiting for a time to let him go.
They still had the ownership stake.
Yeah. See,
I feel like somebody got wind of the Michelin list, and that was just a line too far. That was too much.
Yeah,
That's too much.
So
how do y'all talking about my lips, man? That was his whole thing was too much. But you're right, Chris. They held on. They knew about that for eons, man.
Yeah.
Gruden talked about it at a church thing. He was like, "Everyone's made a mistake. I made a mistake. No one's perfect. You know, I want to coach again. I hope the NFL lets me back in again." It was just a blemish in my record. I said, bro, that was more than that's a huge blemish.
Yeah.
That's a bruise, my guy.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
So it's kind of like the NFL kind of colludes and conspires to keep certain people out.
Oh, that sounds
Shocking.
eerily similar to some other people's claims, and yet it's never been. Anyways, whatever. We'll move on from that. But you know, I
Jones.
Huh?
Captain Jones.
Oh, well, yeah. Different topic for another day.
We know that ain't happening. That ain't gonna be a topic because it'll never happen.
Okay. Well, once we get some diversity in the ownership, maybe some things can change. So keep fighting the good fight, P Diddy. So yeah, Derek Carr, right? Now this guy's supposed to be, he has a cannon for an arm. He's so blah blah blah. This. Yo, I saw him underthrow. Devontae Adams split a zone coverage and got over top. You just had to. Aaron Rodgers was just throwing it over there, not even using his whole upper body strength. He just flicking it
In his sleep.
and it would have just fell right into his hands. In fact, Aaron Rodgers had a pass like that to the rookie Dotson, and it fell through his hands for the Green Bay.
Yeah.
So I know he was out here like, this is what y'all left me with after y'all traded away Devontae Adams. So anyway, similarly happened on the other side of that spectrum was Devontae Adams being free and Derek Carr underthrew it. And it got picked off. I said, look, this is the epitome of mediocre, and we're hyping this guy up to be more than what he is. He's 22 or 37. Passing, which is not that great. I mean, I guess that's mediocre. So I guess that's along the lines. 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Yeah, this is just not. And then he also had a fumble. I don't know what's going on with these quarterbacks or these teams fumbling. It could be a byproduct of not playing in the preseason. But there was a lot of fumbles week 1 too. So you know, Derek Carr to me needs to get some of this glorious humble pie that we out here shelling out today, because yeah, that along with, you know, Dak Prescott and all those, but you know, again, some of those things chalk up to a larger, like the Russell Wilson, chalk up to a larger, more systemic situation with their coaching and things like.
Even the Aaron Rodgers, like you said, with the young receivers dropping the passes, you brought up another one that stood out to me, just drop opportunities.
Yeah. So again, it goes back to a reflection of the organization to some degree, and you know, it's not even just the quarterbacks. I don't know what was going on in Tennessee. Like they had a 3rd-and-1 situation, and instead of giving the ball to Derrick Henry, they wanted to do a tight end jet sweep, and they lost yardage. And I'm just like, but you got Derrick Henry. Like, I don't understand. Like, how do you do this? So bumbling people, I would say at the most for this situation. So anything? Okay. Do you want to add anything to these line of huh?
I'm gonna let it slide. Y'all already done bashed all these guys.
Was there a quarterback you were looking forward to this season in particular that we mentioned?
Nah, I was looking at Lamar Jackson, to be honest, because that explosion season he had, I haven't seen anything repeat like it. So I'm still looking out for him to do what he did. And I heard Kurt big him up in the first half of the segment for the standout. So that was positive to hear. I didn't watch it myself, but hopefully that continues.
Yeah.
That was versus the Jets, though. I want to see if when they face a tougher opponent, if they can overcome that, and then that'll be exciting.
Well, that was their preseason game right there. That's against the Jets, so it should be a full form.
Where's your guy, Joe Flacco?
Oh my gosh!
Maybe there's something to the Joe name, and people getting the bag, getting the Super Bowl, and then just.
Wow.
Joe Namath, Joe Flacco, Joe Burrow. I see the connection. I like it.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, Cool Joe, he'll come back. You know, he just had a series of it. You know what? He went against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was a divisional team. They know they play them twice a year each year. They kind of know the ins and outs of Cincinnati. So, you know, the one of the greatest coaches ever just knows how to disrupt that.
I feel like this is on this is more on the Bengals, man, because drafted him in 2020, still on his rookie contract, right?
Yep.
Only have a year or two left before they got to pay this dude max money. Yep. So they should be able to fill out the rest of the roster right now to win, because Joe is a win now quarterback. He has a talent. That's what they need to do. They need to lean in and do that.
Makes sense.
Give him some
so
protection.
I think it's more because we've seen in the Super Bowl, even playoff run leading to the Super Bowl, man. Joe had to play like he was Iron Man because defenders was coming at him. Offensive line was like wet toilet paper, man. It's still the same.
To this day.
One plot.
To this day.
Ain't nothing
Softest garment.
Yeah. It could be that could be the Seattle Seahawks effect. Once he leaves, then they go get some tackles.
Retool.
So we'll see, man. Week 2 is just around the corner, man. So we'll definitely check out what's going on that front. So stay tuned to hear what we have to say about these NFL stories. So moving on to the basketball NBA side of things, the NBA has decided to punish, after doing an investigation, the Suns Governor Robert Sarver, I don't know his last name.
Yeah.
The CEO, the owner guy, the big guy in charge of the organization, suspended for 1 year, citing, you know, the use of insensitive language, racial slurs, sexual misconduct, and a lot of misogynistic, toxic behavior in the workplace. So he was fined $10 million along with the 1 year suspension, which I don't know what that means. Like, you can't pay yourself. I'm confused. I don't know how suspensions works for CEOs.
I think that means you can't be in meetings, you can't be in the building and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
he's barred from like the facilities, can't participate, can't represent the team.
So he has a 1 year sabbatical to go over and be misogynistic anywhere else in the world.
Well, plus his counseling.
Oh yeah, well, you know,
counseling in there.
I don't know.
It's weak.
Yeah, bringing in the counseling, but like I was confused when I hear these stories. I'm like, they don't have like any HR person. Like there wasn't like one HR person was like, yo, you might need to chill, fam. Like just.
The boss.
It probably was, and guess what? He probably said, "Hey man, get out my face before I fire you."
Hey, the boss worked for HR.
Exactly.
And then send him some news right after.
Exactly. So quick question, man. I'll throw it to you, Kev. Is this a fair punishment for the cause?
It don't seem so, man. I'm just comparing it to Donald Sterling, right? When he did what he did. I understand the situation is a little bit different, where Sterling seemed to have been, I don't know, like actually voicing some displeasure or just, I don't like this person, whereas this guy was just being inappropriate. So maybe that's the difference, where it's not like a direct antagonism, but at the same time it still seemed to be part of his way of being for a long time throughout his entire tenure. Based on the report, people are saying it's a toxic environment and all this stuff, so it's not a one-time thing. And the investigation seemed to have been thorough. They said they talked to 320 people, went through 80,000 documents. That's like 80,000 documents. That's a lot of stuff to go through. So they must have found enough to want to punish him, but I feel like this punishment isn't enough. And that training program sounds horrible. It says it's going to focus on respecting the workplace. It seems weak. Like, respecting the workplace is a given. You don't need to train somebody for that. He needs some more intensive training than just respecting the workplace. He got some serious problems. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get deeper than that.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting take. Deuce, you have a rebuttal on that, or do you agree?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I couldn't hear a thing that Kev said. I was trying to mimic y'all's reactions to it.
Oh my gosh!
I can't hear a word, man.
It's a little bit low, but it wasn't that low.
Reg, did you hear what he said?
I heard.
Okay.
Well, you guys heard because y'all were actually saying because it's silence. The Reds were like, no.
Hey man,
That's your kid.
that should.
He was just saying
okay.
that he felt like it wasn't far enough. The training program's a little bit BS. In his because it was saying something about training for respect in the workplace, and that's a bare minimum. He needs something deeper. he needs like the advanced courses.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just a summary.
Yeah.
Hey, okay. Let's think about this, man. Like, how hard is it for us to change a habit? It's difficult, bro. It's difficult to change a habit. Whether it's a bad habit or trying to develop a good habit, right? You have to put so much emphasis. You have to want to do it. The fact that we're going to send this dude to counseling and he's supposed to come back like a new man, get out of here. That's not going to happen, bro. That's not going to happen. He's just going to be smarter with how he does this stuff or hide it better, man. That's all he's going to do. Hey, you go over to some folks' house, you know they nasty. Call them out for being nasty. So next time you go over, they don't clean up, they straighten up, right? Put everything in the closet. That's what he's doing, man. He's gonna put all his mess in the closet. But some of the things this dude did is not gonna be fixed with counseling. Chris, I know before in the pre-pod, you talked about rich people don't want to lose their money. And I shared my experience working as a Wachovia dispute agent. Rich people calling in, Donna's charging twice. I look at their account, they got $2 million sitting there. But this dude, when I read that one, went into a shower, stripped down naked, and stood in front of the male employee. When another employee told him, "Hey, bro, you can't use the ninja word all the time." Called him back into the office. It was him and the lawyer, and he could repeatedly use the ninja word, right? Reflex. He prevented a pregnant female employee from coming to work. Women employees said it made it really difficult to have a family and work there. But the list just goes, all of this is him. I'm not gonna bore the fans with all this.
I was on there.
No, you can't even go through it. It's just too much.
Kev's point, man, he has to want to change. Let me read the first half of his apology statement. I mean, if I offended you guys, if I came at you with this energy, while I disagree with some of the particulars of the report, I would like to apologize. That first sentence is your inside thoughts out loud. Everything after the comma is irrelevant. So yeah, I believe, Rez, thanks for the summary on Kev. Kev, I hate I missed that, but yeah, he needs, what he used to call that back in church back in the day, a spiritual revival. He needs to go to revival school, man. A retreat.
Yeah.
He needs that.
Yeah, we got to the retreat.
Yeah, he got to go to the retreat. He's not coming to the cookout, but he needs to go to the retreat.
Yeah.
How about the fine? What about the fine and the suspension? Are you okay with that?
Are you okay with the suspension and the fine?
All of us asking dudes.
Yes, and dudes.
Yeah, I'm asking Deuce.
He can't hear you. I guess he really can't hear you. He said the fine and the suspension because we all looking at Chris News. Are you gonna say something?
Yeah, he asked you a question, man.
Man, I don't know what's going on. That might be a Kurt issue. He said, "What about the fine and the suspension?"
Are you okay with
that?
Yeah,
and it came in loud and clear.
So the fine is the fine. Unlike the NFL, the NBA actually knows what's in their guidelines. So they say this is the maximum amount that they can fine somebody. It's $10 million. For my quick Google search, it's the largest fine they levied on somebody. It is what it is. I guess I have to take that into account. The punishment, 1 year removed. How Chris put it as a sabbatical. Got oh man, who was the Clippers owner again? Like, I
Donald Sterling.
Caught on video, and they were like, "Bro, you out." Right? Robert Sarver had a whole tenure doing this stuff. Is it enough? I think he can do much more than just a 1 year suspension, right? The fine is at the max they can do, fine. Suspension, they didn't say that was the max. You could do more than that, man. They've kicked players out for less, right? So you could do more than that. If you want to, if the goal is to prevent other people from doing it, because Sarver was the owner when Donald got kicked out, still kept doing it.
Okay. All right, Reg, you feel? Well, they both agree. So are you in accordance?
I'm glad both of them went in there because at first I had my opinions and thoughts on it, but putting it in the frame with the Donald Sterling and just thinking about how that whole situation played out puts a whole nother layer on there because I think he was caught exhibiting like undeniable like racist behavior with Donald Sterling. Like, I don't want you bringing these type of people around, and like he was a little bit more explicit, but it was like but I mean, even with the Sarver situation, saying like this lady can't come home when she's pregnant or whatnot, that was also very discriminatory. But I think if you wanted to paint one as a racist, like it's a little bit easier with Donald Sterling. That was a private conversation that got recorded and it got leaked. This guy, Robert Sarver, was just out here like, yo, I say whatever I want, I do whatever I want. Who gonna stop me? Who gonna stop me? Like, he was just out here, just whatever. Like, I was browsing. Y'all should have seen this stuff I saw on the internet. Just to anybody, like, not being conscious of the power dynamic, just dropping nudes, just dropping his clothes, taking a shower. He got a whole, I'm sure he got a home and a shower. He just decided to take a shower all willy-nilly in the facility in front of people. Like, he was just out here operating like, hey, whatever, just whatever comes to mind, I'm gonna do it. And I think that makes everything a little bit more egregious. So I don't see how you can kind of just end up giving him a fine and a year suspension.
Okay.
That when you put it in that context, it doesn't seem right.
Doesn't.
They're saying Draymond can say ninja, I can't. Hey guys, I heard this new song from Trinidad James. What you say, Reg?
Yeah.
Let me say the first couple of lyrics. Verbatim.
Yo, we got rap genius. What does he mean by this?
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually kind of thinking along the same lines of, well, my original position was, maybe it was fair, and I look at it from this standpoint. Yes, is this dude toxic and he probably needs to be removed? I'm not gonna down that hill and say he doesn't need to be removed. He probably needs to be removed if people think the majority think he needs to be removed. And I'm sure that the people who are working for the Suns organization feel their way as well. I think the difference between him and Donald Sterling is because the object of his frustration was centered around it wasn't even centered it was centered around Magic Johnson, right? Or a NBA player or a patron of the NBA game, even as a consumer. And to say I don't want those people at my games, I think aggravated enough of the NBA population that Adam Silver took a post. He was out here like, oh, like this is what I'm gathering from who we call partners, the NBA players, people who play the game, and saying, hey, they don't like this. So there's only one way. There's two ways to handle it. There's three ways. One is to ignore the whole thing, but that's almost the same as keeping him on. So you can keep him on, and then you're gonna have this ongoing tension between Clippers organization and players, and everyone who comes in to play in the game. Cause I believe they were boycotting. They had like the black shirts, or they had like their shirts, their warm-ups inside out, stuff like that, to show protest against Donald Sterling, statements and things. So I think within the context of how it was, first of all, we understand it was eavesdropping, someone illegally probably, and it wasn't a criminal thing, so I guess you could do that if it's not a criminal charge, right? Or you're not using that as you could do it, but you just can't use it as a what do you call it, as evidence to do something, because both parties I think have to agree to be recorded, right? Yeah. But this is not a civil case. This is all public opinion, right? This is all in private sector. You can do whatever you want, right? So in that case, she recorded it, she put it out there because she was like, oh, you gonna do this? Okay, I can make your life kind of frustrating, and put it out there. So again, it's similar to the Rachel Nichols thing. Rachel Nichols said the stuff under the hot mic. So she got fired, right? It bothered enough of the organization to where she got removed. This was a little bit different.
That's a good point. Yeah, good parallel there.
Yeah, this one reminds me more so of the Mark Cuban situation, where Mark Cuban, and it wasn't Mark Cuban. So let's just say that off top, it wasn't Mark Cuban. It was the Mavs organization that was having reports of sexual harassment and misconduct in the workplace. And I think at first Mark Cuban denied it, and then he kind of backtracked. It was like, hey, I'm not here for the day-to-day operation, blah, blah, blah. And he started to look into it, and it turns out that the person that, maybe not all, but maybe one of the people that he was aware of, who, because he heard about the allegations, I think he didn't do anything about it. And so in hindsight, I believe he said, so when this thing kind of opened up, he was like, oh, I chose to keep him on. I probably shouldn't have done that. I kind of regret doing that. I probably should have X him out when I saw the writing on the wall from day one, or once I heard about it. So again, I'm sure it's not just this one Robert Sarver. I'm sure he's the head honcho of it. Like, he made the culture okay to practice this kind of bad behavior, because it's kind of like that bro, that frat boy, whatever. Similar to the Uber guy, he was doing some nonsense like that too. And
don't forget about this, I don't know how you guys view this, but don't forget this dude Robert Sarver put goats in the former GM's office, man, and they totally destroyed the office, man. He brought goats, live goats, into the GM's office, bro.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he didn't do it. He ordered somebody to do it.
Yeah. So I mean, either you're complicit, maybe to keep your job, or you're complicit because you agree with what he's doing. So I don't know. Like, maybe all that. But yeah, maybe you should cut off the top of the head of the snake, so the rest of it will die out as well, as far as that culture goes.
Yes, sir.
But what were you gonna say, Kev? I feel like you said something.
No, when you mentioned the whole fraternity brother thing, it reminded me of one of the quotes from one of the co-owners, who said the level of misogyny and racism is beyond the pale, and he's totally embarrassed. You know what I mean? And this is your co-owner talking. So it's like, people don't appreciate it, and he's at the level.
The Suns co-owner was complaining about the misogyny,
right? And that's the level of misogyny and racism. So he did call her racism there. Unlike this one where we say, okay, maybe you just not knowledgeable, or you just trying to be ignorant. But at the same time, it sounds like though he had some other opportunities to express himself in ways where people could explicitly said, you're being racist, yo. And we don't like it. Maybe it wasn't captured as part of this particular reporting or this investigation, but it seems like people do have that feeling about him, man. And it's just crazy to me how you could act like that in this day and age, and actually be able to run an organization of this level.
And I think it's kind of interesting, the point that you brought up when you're talking about your thoughts on the Chris, where I think unfortunately what you're saying is true. I think it's a Pulse thing. I think they feel like the Pulse is we don't feel like people are necessarily, the majority of people want him gone, but they want a change, so they're just going with the Pulse. Whereas it's like a Donald Sterling, that type of character, that type of persona is kind of already kind of looked at in a certain way by the current, political climate, especially at that time, with what was going on, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, all these other things going on, that it just stood out more. It seems like almost like, I don't know if you ever seen the cartoon Rick and Morty. It's just like, oh, it's that crazy guy, right? When you're afar, it's just entertaining, it's a little bit funny. Sure, it's not appropriate, but whatever. But if you look at it in reality, the behavior is just not acceptable at all.
Yeah, especially in the workplace.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I think, because Reg, before the show, you were trying to pin down one of the biggest allegations, the biggest grievances, right? It's racism, it's a misogyny. Do you think it's more misogynistic than racist?
I think outside of the N-word thing, I haven't heard anything else pinpointing racism outside of him not refraining from using the N-word when paraphrasing or quoting. So that's a little bit harder to prove that he's being racist. I think somebody's saying, oh, that leans more towards racial insensitivity. I can understand that argument. I don't necessarily agree, but I can understand that. But I think when you were saying the points that you brought up as specific examples, like oh, he didn't want this lady to come in because she was pregnant, like, and not in a hey, we'll provide you benefits, you don't have to come in, but in a you're pregnant or you have or like you said, people complaining like it wasn't easy to have a family or family plan. It was very kind of like oppressive to people who have families, especially women. It seemed like particularly women. I didn't hear you say like a lot
particularly
of
women.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's
I think
who.
the
That's who
misogyny
voiced
was a little
it.
bit clearer. And then
One,
also
two,
you heard
and-
that you guys are also talking about sharing or discussing in front of mixed company. I mean, you shouldn't be saying this in front of a group of guys, but to say it in front of a group of guys and women is a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit worse. To be said talking about pornographic or sexual acts and stuff like that. All of it across the board just sounds trash. So,
Sharing naked pictures of your wife. I think
Right? Like, what's
as far as
up
the
with
post,
that?
man,
yeah,
that's wild, right? Like that's your wife. I think as far as the
It
post,
seems
man,
like a thing in certain, because then Alex Jones get caught up with the same thing. He was sending Roger Stone pictures. I don't know what I don't know if you get into that
Boy.
echelon. It's just what y'all do.
you go
But
crazy.
I'm good.
I feel like to y'all point, man, since it wasn't, the players came out against Sterling because it was against a legend, against them too, right? Mm-hmm. But they boycotted. They had that forceful appearance of, hey, we don't like this guy. Sarver was more an annoyance to the players. It was really harmful against the women. But since it's about women, the reaction isn't as strong. Because you can even tie it back to the NFL has many issues to the Snyder thing in the NFL, right? His investigation with the Commanders, the Washington football team. I'm gonna stick with that. I like that one. Mm-hmm. How he was pretty much putting the Redskin tributers at the time, using them as almost like back page models. Man, he'll have these exquisite private getaways for the benefactors of the Redskins at the time. He'll, whatever Redskin cheerleaders agreed, because I guess they had to, right? If you don't, y'all do some exotic dances for him. It was almost, from what I read, it was like a mini P-Valley, if you will, right?
Yeah.
But look how long NFL is still investigating that. So I think since Sarver, the majority of his stuff is misogynistic, it's like, it's just women.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Right, we know it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Not that I think Silver's down with that, but you only do so much.
Yeah.
It's not as much of an internal pushback against misogyny.
No, it's not a public outcry
From the players, from the public.
for the players, nah.
I think another thing that would be kind of interesting is I can't imagine how much players have a day-to-day interaction with the owner of the team. So maybe it's just out of sight. Like maybe you hear these whispers, but did he go in the locker room and say, why did Draymond can say the N-word? Or was that just an employee that were more likely to see him on a day-to-day? It's like maybe
What I read is an employee.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So maybe it was not like the players weren't privy to it. They heard whispers, but it's not like with Donald Sterling, where it's just like you heard the audio in front of you. Yo, look, this is what he was doing. This is what he was saying about somebody that looks like us. So that separation, it could be like we do know people don't protect women enough, but it also could be like they weren't privy to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, man. And Chris Paul.
What you say?
He can't get away from toxic ownerships, man.
I know, right? Everywhere you go.
Man.
It's just, it's sad, but it's funny because it's so sad. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else y'all want to add on this situation?
I want to add one more thing.
Go for
we
it.
could kill it from there. How do you normally ask someone if they work here? Like, hey, do you work here? That's just a regular person way. He's gonna ask him. He's gonna ask a woman, do I own you? And I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm paraphrasing.
Oh wait, I want to be surprised like Reg. What was it?
Hold on. He said what now?
I'm paraphrasing, but the basically the article said he asked one woman whether he owned her to determine whether or not she worked for the Suns.
Yep.
So he probably walked in. Do I own you?
Yep.
To find out if she worked for the Suns. That's his way of finding out if she worked for the Suns.
I don't know how he got to the level of wherever he at in the first place. Because just to be savvy in business for him to not get caught up like this, because I can imagine being an organization as big as an NBA franchise. How many people are in and out of that building? Some that may work for you, some that may not work for you. The guy stocking or the lady stocking the Coca-Cola vending machines. You doing this wild stuff in front of anybody? Like, how did he not get caught up early?
Money is a shield.
Yeah, and again, it's all about the network. So a lot of times the networks are mostly white men. So as long as you're not offending them, and they can be like, oh yeah, women, right? Ha 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 ha. Like it's a safe space to behave that way, and it kind of helps nurture that cesspool of thought where you can just kind of say or do whatever you want, and no one's gonna really say anything, do anything, and then a lot of times once you get that power or influence, right? A lot of times people are afraid to even say anything just because you have the power and influence. Yeah.
Yep.
So
dude is 60. He's acting like he never seen a woman before.
You know what I'm saying?
He's 60 years old, man. He's seen a woman. He's married. I'm pretty sure he has kids. He acting like the female anatomy is a mystery to him. Everybody, a lot of people seen his wife.
Yeah. So again, there's some I do know some people who behave that way, and they don't even have that kind of money. They in those circles. So it's just like they're passing their wife around, and they're in the bikini. Like it's a cultural thing. I don't understand it, but I do understand that it exists, and it's hard to explain, but we just kind of like what it's there, kind of like black holes. So yeah, that's all I got. So anything else, man? Or we can just go ahead and wrap this up?
I think we could wrap on that.
Cool. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up, man. I will kick it off with Reg, man. What's your final comments?
Just thanks for coming through and checking out this latest episode of the Warmup. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you were able to catch these games. What team are you excited for? What team were you most disappointed by? Just all of that. Just hit us up in the comment section. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Engage with us.
Yeah.
Let us know what's up.
Cool. Kev, what you got?
Appreciate you rocking with us as usual. Stay tuned for the next episode, and like, comment, subscribe, like my boy said.
Awesome. Do say.
Hey man, we're talking about the Lions and the Bears, right? Lions and Tigers and Bears. So here's not a cool stat for both of those franchises. One, Chicago Bears have never, their existence, have a 4,000 yard passer.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Even a shock. Okay. All right. The next one will be even less of a shock. A more egregious fact, but less of a shock. The Detroit Lions have had 2 30-year stretches where they have not won a playoff game.
Who? The Detroit Lions?
30 year?
Detroit Lions?
Two separate 30-year stretches without a playoff win.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Talk about...
You exist to lose? That's pretty much your existence?
Talk about putrid organization history. Like,
yeah.
Like, it, honestly, I don't know. It's something about the Midwest. Cleveland Browns could not win a championship. They moved to Baltimore and they win a championship within 2 years. It's something about Cleveland. I don't know what it is.
And then even within that, like, they've been retooled. Like, these are not always like bad teams. These are like on paper. Like that Cleveland Browns team should have been able to accomplish something.
Yeah, they've had some really good teams. They have really good defenses. They have, good enough offense to make it through. They just can't make it through. Chicago, name a really good quarterback from Chicago history.
Trubisky.
Oh,
exactly. You can't find one. Tim McMahon? I mean, not Tim McMahon. what is his name? McMahon.
I think it was McMahon or McHorn.
Maybe it's a culture thing. Maybe they're just a running in a defense team, and they don't really.
They were a running team during the quarterback Chris talking about. That was Walter Payton and them.
Yeah.
Even the Gale Sayre years.
Yeah. No, Jim McMahon is what I meant to say. Jim McMahon.
Jim McMahon.
Yeah. And that was doing the championship. They was doing the championship runs or whatever when they was going like deep into the playoffs. I don't think they won, but they finally won one. But it was off of the defense, the Bears. That's when they had like the Bears shuffle and all that. Man, they were doing the whole dance routines.
In the run game.
So
is Jay Cutler the best quarterback in franchise history?
Jay Cutler. That's I was waiting for someone to say Jay Cutler.
Hall of Famer.
He's in the ring of honor for Chicago. That's about it.
Jay Cutler's not a. He can't be a Hall of Famer.
He can't be a Hall of Famer. He can't be a Hall of Famer. But
look like you want to give it to him. Look like you want to give it to him. But
nah, he can't.
He was trying to think about it. He's like, nah, they can't.
Yeah.
And then he just gotta let everybody in at that point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the floods are open. The floodgates are open. Flacco, everyone's coming in.
Bring back Jake Plummer, man. I like Jake Plummer, man.
Jim Harbaugh? Jim Harbaugh?
Oh man.
Jim Harbaugh?
George?
What about
Romo Hall of Famer?
No, we're talking about Chicago Bears. Well, I was talking about Chicago Bears.
Oh, just nah, I don't know. I don't even know. Like we stopped at my knowledge of the Chicago.
Rex Grossman?
Grossman, Florida. I knew it was a Florida quarterback that went there, and I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah, exactly. None of these quarterbacks are worthy of talking about it.
Guys, I forgot about Grossman.
Doug Flutie, he played for them. Anywho, as you can see, this is a very, very watered down version, almost XFL arena football level of the greats. So yeah, Nick Foles, I think, played for them a little bit. So anywho, as you can see,
we talk about the Browns' inability to draft the QB, but I guess at least the Bears
they always had defense and run games.
Yeah,
they had winning seasons.
Just like how Raiders tend to have a culture associated with them of being just rough and defensive. Yeah. So it seems maybe that's just their culture.
Yeah. And Green Bay's the opposite. They always got good offense. Defense is always suspect. Except like they may have like one defensive end and they win a championship off of that one defensive end, or like that one linebacker they can hold it together. So yeah. So cool factoid. Yeah. The Midwest football history is not that great.
It's weird, man.
So
I mean, I know we were talking very serious, but should there be an argument that whoever is the governor of the Bears got it, or was it the Lions that you said 2 30-year stretches?
Hey,
2 30-year
They might have to
stretches.
sell the team. They might have to sell the team.
no, man. No, they're making money still.
Money. Yeah.
It's about making money.
The Ford family still owns the Lions.
I think so. Also for the Lions.
Yeah. It's
30
like
year stretches with Ford money. Y'all got the money.
It's like I grew up in New York, man. The Knicks. It's like, bro, I make money when I'm losing.
Yeah.
They had that season when they became the 4th seed and made it to the playoffs.
Okay.
Sounds like a one-time.
The New York Knicks have not been a serious contender in how long? Since the 60s, since before Stephen A. was born.
I'm saying within that you can have
contender.
Pat.
90. Okay, 90. 95. They went to the finals. 95.
That's what I'm saying.
And John Starks.
That's recent history.
That's what I'm saying. You can look at it and say, oh, 95, when they had Melo, when they had this person.
Nah, Melo wasn't a contender,
Phil
really.
Jackson.
No, he wasn't a contender.
Phil Jackson.
Not a contender for the championship, but the stat he said was not win a playoff game. That's the bar I'm looking at.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
I'm not talking about win the championship or go to the Super Bowl or go to the NBA championship. I'm talking about not win a playoff game. That's crazy.
Crazy to be.
That's true. Hey man, the Chicago Cubs. The Chicago Cubs. It took them forever to get a World Series out, like over 100 years or so. So I mean, it happens. I don't know.
It's something I'm reading more into this fact, man. So in '57, Lions took home the 3rd NFC championship of the decade. In the '50s, they were great, right? This quarterback Bobby Lane. The next year, the Lions said, "Holler," traded Lane to Pittsburgh. reportedly said, sources say, he said that the Lions wouldn't win another championship for 50 years.
The curse. I told you the curse of Detroit.
He's been right.
The curse of Detroit.
He's been right.
Bobby Lane, right? Bobby Lane took him down.
Hey, Lakers, take note. Y'all better hold on to us.
Oh man, you like the jank? Was it the jank guy? No, what was it? The bass guy who put the hex on Kevin Durant.
Low B, right?
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. The city let them go. And they won that chip.
Yep. So
he got that hard now, that curse.
So yeah. Anyways, guys, this has been a long episode. Yeah, like, subscribe, tell a friend. Follow us on the Instagram and on Twitters. Hit us up on that end as well. Join the Discord, man. Again, it's pretty fun. And yeah, we're here every Wednesday. So until next Wednesday, guys, deuces.